Hey and welcome to Disco Elysium, one of my favorite RPGs, even one of my favorite games of the last few years. And I'm excited to give this another go, now that the final cut has been out for a few weeks. All of the game now has voiceover, and there's also some new content in the form of political vision quests and some other stuff, I believe. As you can probably tell already, this is not going to be a blind playthrough. I played this game shortly after it came out in early 2020, and I haven't really touched it since. I played about 1.5 playthroughs, never on stream or for YouTube though, so this is gonna be a first in that regard. And this not being a blind playthrough, I will tell you now that this is going to be spoiler heavy. I will be discussing later parts of the game as I see fit. I will be discussing the entire plot and all the characters. And more specifically, this is going to be a discussion heavy playthrough. So I intend to talk quite a bit, and I'll be bringing up my camera like this when there's something to talk about. Yeah, I think there's just so much in this game that warrants discussion. It's supremely well written. It's one of the few games that tackles politics in an interesting way and doesn't shy away from that. It's very literary, and it has a lot of allusions to real-world concepts, or to concepts that matter in the real world. And it's got a lot of things going on that are worth talking about. None of this is planned out, I'm sorry. It's basically going to be off-the-cuff commentary, but it will be from my perspective. So I invite you to participate in the discussion if you want, to have divergent perspectives, to have different views of the game, or of the politics presented therein, but I will be commenting from my perspective what is, I'm pretty sure, a game that has been made by pretty left-wing developers. So for this playthrough, I think we're going to do what I haven't done before, which is go on a full fascist walkthrough with maximum drug use and max stats in both psyche and body. This is going to be exciting. Last playthrough I had a very high intellect and also some psyche, but not quite as high, and very low body specifically. So I'm interested to see how that will turn out. But without much further ado, let's get right into it, shall we? We're in the menu screen right away. A couple of things I want to turn on. One is streamer mode, which supposedly protects me from a couple of copyright strikes or whatever by replacing some copyrighted pieces of music. And I also want to do hardcore mode. I don't exactly know what this entails yet. It's an update that has come out, I think, in early 2020 already, but I've never played the game in this mode. It's existentially difficult. Checks are harder and healing items are more expensive. That's interesting. I don't remember how much I was using healing items back in the day, but I don't think too much. Choose your clothes and thoughts wisely. For your sweat and toil, tasks reward a small amount of extra XP. Let's do it. Hardcore. We get the music right away. Right, let us start a new game. We're going to make our own archetype. And I think I'll do it either like this or like this. I do like a couple of the psyche skills though. So I think I'll go for 5-5 and then 1 in intellect and 1 in motorics. And then we gotta check a signature skill. And I think I'm mostly going to be going for the following skills. I think I want is authority and esprit de corps to be pretty high. Potentially inland empire. And in the physique skill tree, or skill row rather, I think I'd likely go for electrochemistry and shivers. Maybe some half-light. Especially shivers I think is interesting. I mean, let's have a look at this. It says, cool for city lovers, the wisest of the streetwise, the genuinely supernatural. And that's the one thing that has always intrigued me about shivers, and always intrigued me about a physique playthrough, because it's in here, is that I think shivers is the one skill in the game that does have a bit of a connection to some supernatural elements. Usually the game is very grounded in reality. I mean, in the reality it presents rather. Especially if you play like an encyclopedia heavy and intellect heavy playthrough, like everything is very like ordered and rational. And I do like it to be a bit out of bounds this time. So shivers come when the temperature drops and you become more keenly aware of your surroundings. It enables you to hear the city itself, to truly belong to the streets. It is a supernatural ability. All wrongs play out in present time. Scenes across the city happen in front of you, but who is speaking to you? At high levels, shivers may make you seem mad to the outside world. Yes, please. As you listen to the city, you don't listen to others. Your superiors may begin to worry. With low shivers, though you will seldom hear the city speaking to you, and if you cannot hear it, how can you ever save it? It's like similar to Esprit de Corps in this way, that it just gives you additional information that you couldn't conceivably have in any meaningful, rational way, right? It's a bit of an intuition based skill too. And it's always blurry or not entirely clear whether the game wants us to think that there's actually something supernatural going on, or if it's more like some intuition and if it's just make-believe and all in your head. Some skills like Inland Empire definitely go into that direction more. But we'll take Shivers. How do I take it? Set skill. Oh, can I not do it in hardcore mode, or? Next. Set your signature skill. Set signature, there we go. Okay. So we'll start with 6 in that. Right, let's go! The Furies are at home in the mirror, it is their address. Even the clearest water, if deep enough, can drown. Begin.
There is nothing. Only warm primordial blackness. Your conscious ferments in it. No larger than a single grain of malt. You don't have to do anything anymore. Ever. Never, ever. Never, ever, ever, baby.
I love this voice acting. Simply keep on non-existing.
An inordinate amount of time passes. It is utterly void of struggle. No ex-wives are contained within it.
And of course, since we're going full drugs and full body and full intuition all the time, we're not exactly the inquisitive type, so if we have a choice, we're going to be going for the problem avoidance answer, and not the inquisitive, let me figure this out answer. And we're also always going to be for the most emotional and least rational answer. We're probably also going to be going into Superstar Cop direction, I would imagine. What other cop types are there? There's the sorry cop. We're not going to be sorry in this playthrough. There's the boring cop. I hope we're not going to be boring. There's the superstar cop, and there's one more, which I'm forgetting right now. This is great.
Yes, it is.
Oh, I have to ask now, alright.
An awareness creeps up on you. A mass lies hidden in your dead angle, soaking in some lurid acidic sauce. It's bloated and shameful, a ball of meat surrounding you. This is a terrible line of questioning, and it will only lead to more awareness of the meat thing.
The meat thing. Plunge back into the fathomless deep.
There. No ball of meat. No light in the formless nothing. Just nice women.
How about you cough up some more of that sweet oblivion?
Coming right up, sir. Smooth passage.
LNZ, let's go!
Alright. Nothing town to fuck all borough.
Let's visit the ancient Zero home.
Great choice, Elder One. It has always been like this, and it always will.
Don't stop, keep singing. Sing me the song of death.
The song of death is sweet and endless. But what is this? Somewhere in the sore, bloated man meat around you. A sensation.
I don't like it.
Like a fly to the ointment, your conscience sticks to it. The limbed and headed machine of pain and undignified suffering is firing up again. It wants to walk the desert, hurting, longing, dancing to disco music.
Did I hear disco music?
You can take it. You're a champion.
Tough choice here. I'm not scared. I'm a champion.
The stench of liquor rises from your mouth, and with it, an ungodly headache.
Help, someone, cut my head off. It's trying to murder the rest of me.
A fiery streak penetrates your skull, trying to force your eyes open. It's a sound, a clarion call from hell.
And once again, I'm going to be discussing spoilers in this playthrough. As we know, this is our partner for the upcoming investigation, Kin Kitsuragi, arriving in his Kinema motor carriage, which is kind of a badass carriage, but also is very loud. And it's what wakes us up here. Oh boy. Look at us. We are beautiful. Also, we have a lot of morale and health, because we're badass.
This fan has two chain pull switches. One ends in a tiny fan, the other in a light bulb. A truly horrific necktie has somehow attached itself to one of the blades. Or has it been consigned there as punishment? You feel as though this creature is your friend and wants to reattach itself to your neck so that you may continue your adventures together in this strange world.
We're not stopping the fan, we're a badass.
You reach out to grab the tie, but what's this? Diffuse, radiating chest pain. Doom comes over you. This is bad. Feels like sharp stones grinding in your chest and keeping you from moving. For quite a long time. Still ongoing. Now is a good time to start worrying. Finally, the pressure recedes. You find yourself covered in cold sweat and trying not to move, hoping it will keep you from dying. A terrible mistake. Turn the lights off immediately. You can practically feel the photons burning a hole in your brain.
Oh, also, we didn't take damage here, did we? Was that because we have so high... I mean, we do have a lot of health anyway, but it also seems to keep us from taking damage.
It's just a little hangover-induced photosensitivity. Don't overreact.
Because our pain threshold is so good too. Bring it on.
Little black spots dance on your retina. It's almost pleasurable.
Yes.
The blades come squeaking to a halt. It should be easier to reach the tie now. You swoop up and catch the tie. Snap. It's released from the blade. Warning, warning, the necktie is no longer contained. What you have in your hand is a fantastically colorful tie with 4 or 5 different patterns. The knot reminds you of a noose.
Lovely. Pants.
You hear a jingle. Keys are clinking in the pocket of your flare-cut pants. It says, whirling in rags, on the aluminium keyring. There is a single key on the ring. The number 1 is etched on it. It should open the door.
So it seems like we're in room number 1, and room number 1 looks like shit. I suspect this has been our doing. Look at that. The door is broken out. A bed. Is that... It's not even really a bed. This room doesn't seem to have a bed, right? It's a couch. Pull to highlight. Nah, I'm good. And that couch is totally messed up for some reason. I mean, there's bottles everywhere. But also the cushions are not where they're supposed to be. We've destroyed this tape recorder. I'm just quickly assessing whether I should go for min-maxing of any kind in this playthrough. Because I do have a lot of knowledge about the game, and of course I do have the knowledge that there's one thought that we can get. I think it's derealization. After talking to Joyce for a bit, that gives us extra XP from clicking these bubbles. And if we wanted to min-max, of course, we wouldn't click these bubbles now, because we want to keep the XP for when we have that thought. It's not retroactive that way. But I don't think I wanna. I think I wanna just go for it this playthrough. And not worry about min-maxing at all. This magnum-sized bottle of Commodore Red is empty. Seems to be a brand of wine, Commodore Red. Which obviously both has wine, because red, and also some like socialist, communist, and illusions here, right? The red. Looks like someone tore out the tape while the song was playing. This reel-to-reel tape player is still on, rolling empty. Damn, what's going on? It's our jacket. Disco-ass blazer. Beautiful. Oh, our head hurts. And one thing I'm gonna remark right away here is that one narrative, I mean, it's not really a trick. Quite a few games do it, but few games do it as well as this one, I think, which is that at the at the start of the game, you as a player and your level of knowledge as a player about the world you inhabit is about the same as that of your character. Because he had like a night of binge drinking or several nights over the last few days, and he's forgotten everything, as we will soon find out. And this is a very nice this is a very nice narrative device to increase immersion in a way, right? Because we're in the same shoes as our character, or shoe in this instance. Or do we even have one shoe? No, we don't have the one even yet. So we're out of the same shoes as our character. You see bottles in the bathtub, wine, beer, and sweet liquors. And we explore the world alongside him. And that's a pretty cool narrative device, because usually what happens is you're in a world, your character, they have like a history in the world, they have relations, they have friends and family, and you as a player, you don't know anything about that, and therefore it sometimes feels hard to completely immerse yourself in a character, because you know they know so many things, or there are so many things going on in their life that you just don't know. And sometimes it takes like clunky exposition and very on-the-nose dialogue to get you up to speed, right? And it's much more elegant in this game that way. Because not only do you learn alongside your character, but it also makes the learning itself part of the narrative. So it doesn't feel as out of place and unnatural as in many other stories. Let's look at the mirror.
A mirror hangs above a bent and broken sink. In a fierce discharge of masculine energy, someone has ripped half the faucet off.
Masculine energy. I like that the game goes there, you know? And I mean, it's the same with politics in general in this game. It's not like at first glance apparent what political positions the writers have, right? But this is a world that very much has politics. And that feels so refreshing and unnatural in a world of entertainment where I feel like every big AAA or commercially viable product cannot really take a stance politically, because that would mean alienating part of your potential audience, right? It's better to keep it vague and maximize your potential audience that way. But most media, especially extremely popular media, they sidestep this problem, not by talking about politics and then not taking a side, but just sidestepping the topic altogether. Obviously, the messages they convey and the way the narrative unfolds usually means that in the end, every game is political in a way and ends up endorsing a certain kind of message. It's just not explicit about it, and it doesn't mention it. And this world of Disco Elysium, it very much has politics. And even like a small remark, like in a fierce discharge of masculine energy, that's obviously like tongue-in-cheek, ironic a little bit, right?
Hot water sprays from the base and steam covers the mirror. You cannot see yourself, just the outline of a man. Suddenly, you realize you have no memory of the face that awaits you there, underneath the soft vapor.
So we can't remember anything. We're not introspective, we're just gonna wipe the mirror right away.
As you slowly reach your hand towards the surface of the mirror. Abort. You clearly have not thought this through. You won't like what you see there, and you will never unbecome it.
I don't care, I hurt myself, it's what I do.
Behold. You have no idea who this thing is, do you?
Of course I do, it's some kind of superstar. I think I'm a superstar.
It appears you're also dead. There's clearly rigor mortis on your face. Or wait, is that an expression? Are you trying to make an expression with that face? Why?
I think it might be because I'm a superstar.
Please stop. It's horrible. You're scaring yourself.
No, it's what superstars do.
You can't, can you? It's like it's not even voluntary anymore. You have worn that grin into your face, and now it won't come off. What does it even mean? What is the emotion you're trying to convey?
This is also funny. Superstardom.
You should check yourself for a pulse, superstar. From here it looks like a cadaverous spasm.
I don't need to. I almost died trying to get that tie, but I heard my heartbeat.
Getting clever appears to make the expression even worse. Now it's mixed with smugness.
Yeah. Nah. That door is locked. Okay, I think we're done in here. Seems like our visual calculus is too bad to see what's going on with the windows here. There is one more thing, and that's this shoe. Right. Lodu Uhu Reservation, minus 22 degrees centigrade, snow drifts. There's something on the table. 34 cents. Sure, I'll go outside. The smell of the sea makes you dizzy. Look at that, it's my other shoe. A gust of briny wind washes over you. I think that was... Shivers.
There they both are. Two identical shoes. Both copiously green and indiscriminately snakeskin. Reunited on your feet.
15 experience. That's hardcore bonus experience, right? Otherwise, it would be 5 or 10? I'm not sure.
Good. They're balanced. Comfy. Feels like the only good thing about you right now, truth be told.
So, what I especially liked about Disco Elysium in the beginning, and I'm gonna be going into this a little more once we've explored a little bit of this universe, is... Also, this music is nice. That there's some kind of effect going on where you're not entirely sure whether... I mean, this looks like it could be the 60s or 70s, you know, disco era in the real world. You're not entirely sure. It could be, because you know nothing just as your character. You could be in, you know, the United States or Sweden or West Germany in the 70s, and you're just in some motel. You had a pretty bad bender over the couple of days, and you have no idea what's going on. Or is it some kind of fantasy world? But if it is, then it's very different from the fantasy worlds we know, right? There doesn't seem to be any apparent supernatural things. There don't seem to be elves and orcs. I mean, we could still meet some, but everything feels vaguely familiar.
Hello, officer.
And not at all like a genre story. Calendar says it's March, the year is 51, and that's our first clue that, I mean, maybe this is 1951, but it looks later, right? I mean, the whole wallpaper screams 60s or 70s to me, not necessarily 50s, and certainly not early 50s. So it's already like, alright. Let's talk to Klaasje.
The young woman raises a cigarette to her lips.
Miss Oranje Disco Dancer. And then you're like, oh, interesting. Oranje? Is that Holland? Klaasje seems like a Dutch name. Maybe we're in Holland. I could just leave, but no, I wanna lead this conversation.
No.
There's only one solution to this. You're a businessman.
Wait, I know. I'm a businessman, chief executive officer, right?
The young woman shakes her head slowly.
So, chief technical officer?
No. You're a police officer, sir.
Goddamn right, I'm a policeman, and don't you forget it.
Okay, cool. I won't.
She means it. She wouldn't defy authority, however sweaty and bloated it may look.
And that's another thing that this game uses to great effect, and that also kind of gives away its politics a little bit, is that you're playing a police officer, and the game also in one loading screen later on, it basically tells you, yeah, you can use that. You can use being a police officer. You're in a position of authority in this world. And it takes quite a bit for people in this world to actually defy you openly. I mean, they can be frustrated with you. They can sort of show that, but not too much. But in order to actively work against you, they'll either have to be some sort of crazy, or they'll have to have a significant amount of power themselves, right? And I feel like this game is extremely conscious of that power dynamic in a way that a lot of other games or pieces of media are not. And it's extremely conscious of which characters in the game, or rather where every character in the game stands in relation to our character here. How much power they have, whether they have a similar amount of power, a lot less power, or even indeed more power than him. And there's not a lot of characters, not a lot of characters who certainly have more power than we have here. But every interaction we have with a character is informed by that dynamic. And the game even outright tells you, yeah, use that. You can say weird things. You can behave like a complete madman. Take that freedom, because no one's really gonna question you on it, because they are not in a position to, right? And it's rare, I feel, that a piece of fiction is so conscious of this dynamic and uses it so well to increase the believability of the world. And this is another remark in that direction, of course. Good. Now, how did you know I was a police officer?
First, I have to ask, are you okay, sir? You look like you're about to throw up. Can I bring you something?
She's right. Something wants to come out through your mouth. But you can keep it down because your body does not control you.
I'm fine. Answer the question.
Sir, you've been here for 3 days. On official police business, as you put it.
What kind of business?
I couldn't say. In truth, so far, mostly drinking.
Goddamn right, I'm a policeman. That actually increased our suggestion here. Wait, suggestion is a psychic ability, so we should be pretty good at this, right? But it's also not an easy check, so especially since we're at the very beginning, even with our good stats, this is not a guaranteed success at all. Our assertive manner has made the physical assault, or this... how am I going to phrase this? The sexual assault on her more likely. And let's not kid ourselves, that's what this is, right? We just learned that we're a police officer, And the game is basically giving us carte blanche, saying, use that power. People can't really object. So what do we do with it? What do we do with our position of power? We, we hit on potential suspects. And it's not like they can do anything about it. Also, the game is subtle enough, of course, to not like outright, tell us, you're a bad boy. It kind of counts on our own empathy to recognize this. And there's going to be quite a few situations in this game where you're doing obviously fucked up things, right? That are all the more fucked up because you're a police officer and you should be conducting yourself with an air of responsibility, and you have all this power vested in you that society's given you to fulfill this role, and yet you do the exact opposite. Even in regards to very vulnerable people who don't really have any chance but to humor your shenanigans. There's one character later on who's called Kuno, who's a kid, who makes that dynamic very apparent, I think, at least to anyone who's even remotely empathetic. But the game kind of almost leads you in a way where you're like, oh, fuck that kid, I'm gonna use my authority and like crack down on him hard, And obviously, that's a horrible thing to do. But, it's not like hand-holding or moralizing in that way the game, that it's like, yeah, no, don't do this. It counts on you to figure that out yourself. It's the same here. I think hardly any player can resist picking this option, or trying it at least. It's very funny if it fails. I don't think I've ever seen it succeed, so let's see.
The words have already left
damn
your
it.
mouth.
I mean, it fits with our character better, but I would have liked to see this success option as well. And we did have 58%, so I want to have fuck with you.
What was that? That's not even how words are used. What did you say? Come on, say it again.
I said I want to have sex with you.
No, you see, that's not what you said. You said... Come on, man. Pretty, please. One more time.
Don't back down now. Say what you said again. Proudly.
Proudly, yeah. And, I mean, yeah, Klaasje is so well written as well. And she's like... obviously a very like charismatic character, very charismatic woman, and she, she's probably dealt with assholes sitting on her entire life, people in authority positions as well, so it's not her first rodeo in that sense, and she knows she can't be like, especially to a person like me, like, what the fuck are you saying? Get away from me, creep, or whatever. She knows that, unfortunately, she'll have to laugh it off. I mean, she can tease us a bit and laugh about us a bit, but she can't confront us about our assault, right? So she'll have to do something like this. And it's what she does and what she does well, but of course in a perfect world she wouldn't have to, but yeah, it's her way of diffusing the situation here. Because, again, we're in a position of power. We don't need to diffuse any situation. We can just escalate and have our like interlocutors deal with the fallout, right? I said I want to have fuck with you.
Goddamn right you did. You crazy asshole, you.
Yeah.
What kind of cop are you?
Oh, that's right. The fourth cop type was the cop of the apocalypse. That's also interesting. But I said I'm gonna go for Superstar Cop. Superstar Cop, it's been established.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Or if I can just maybe ask you to elaborate on that superstardom a tiny bit.
I haven't had this dialogue tree before. Means I'm a bloated old drunk with sideburns and disco pants. I sincerely think I'm a superstar. It's a theory I'm developing.
I have certainly been entertained. Thank you. Whatever you are, you should stick to it. Otherwise, it's gonna suck for you later when you have to interrogate me. And for the record, no, I didn't do it.
Right. Looks like she left a nice long stub in the ashtray. It's still smoking. Before we click this, I really always like that line. It's gonna suck for you later when you have to interrogate me. Because it's so much of the writing in this game. It's so like multi-layered and it suggests so many things. It just makes your head go, right? Like, why would it suck for me to have to interrogate her? And then when I think about it, I'm like, oh yeah, she assumes that to some degree I'm a functioning human being, which in this playthrough, of course, is her mistake. And she counts on us having like at least a shred of empathy and maybe like slightly realizing that like coming onto her like that as a policeman was completely not okay. And at some point we'll have to realize, oh man, I'll have to talk to her again. And that feeling of like impropriety, that'll come back to me, and that will be like an undercurrent of our entire interview. And I'm always gonna be like, maybe can I ask her the important questions now, or am I always like kind of inhibited because I feel shame about what I did? And there's so much in that little sentence, and there's so many sentences in this game that do similar things where you're like, okay, what does that mean? And it means a whole lot, often on different levels.
You should pick that fat, juicy cigarette butt from the tray, light it up, and smoke the living shit out of it.
The what now?
The living shit. Your mesolimbic reward pathway does not mince words. It wants smokes.
Am I a smoker?
Who knows what you are? A monster, a murderer, the gnome of Jeroma. You feel like a smoker, especially when you look at that juicy, succulent, seductive cigarette stub, still smoldering deliciously.
The game dropping the first like concepts on us or figures or whatever. Gnome of Jeroma. I mean, obviously we know what a gnome is. Jeroma sounds a bit like Girona, which is a city in Spain, but not quite. But she broke it at the filter. I can't smoke that.
How very astute of you. This renders it ineffectual. You should look for a whole cigarette, or better yet, an entire pack. Strike that. A carton. Make sure they're all healthy and able-bodied. Then smoke them all.
Like I am, you mean? Hell yeah.
The idea seems to make your neck expand. Suddenly, the garish tie feels very snug.
Or you could not do that. No one is making you.
Should enthusiastically do that.
Good. They'll make you stronger and better. You're too old to be cool now. But find cigarettes, smoke them, blam. Instantly a cool renegade man. A mystical red dragon with smoke rising from his nostrils. Plus, smoking them gives massive bonuses.
There's a little bit of meta knowledge there. Find smokes and smoke 'em.
The door is closed.
So obviously, we're going after her. After, you know, we made inappropriate advances towards her. We're gonna
This door
try the handle
can only
first.
be opened with a key or from the inside. As you hold the metal, you sense the warmth left there by her hand.
Not creepy at all. Obviously, we're going to try and get inside.
There is no answer. A tremendous loneliness comes over you. Everybody in the world is doing something without you.
Swallow the emotion.
The door is closed. Still no answer. Still nothing. You should punch a fucking hole in it.
Fucking.
That felt good. Everyone is a whore.
Yeah!
Now punch a hole in the door.
Because we're a goddamn incel cop.
Don't. Everyone is a whore. What does that even mean? Breathe in and walk away. You slam your fist into the vinyl. It does not produce a hole. The door sits sturdily in the frame, and your fist hurts. This was all a very good, normal thing to do.
Yes.
Not to mention, great exercise.
Am I right? This is the weekend edition of the satirical newspaper Trompe la Monde. Alright, that sounds vaguely French. So it certainly seems we're in a Europe-type scenario here, maybe? And of course I know, but I'm just playing along a little bit. Right, that was interesting, getting to know Klaasje. Miss Oranje Disco Dancer. Ah, the whirling in all its glory. Summer door closed for the winter. So, it's winter, or it said March up there, right? So, look at that. Just some very improvised stage. This is where the lyrics would be. A big old karaoke mic, just waiting for someone to sing into it. The speaker is connected to the radio. The music is seasoned with static.
You should totally sing karaoke here, the first chance you get. Your emotions need to be expressed. People need to know your vast, oceanic soul.
My soul is immense.
Utterly. And it needs to be heard. Through a PA system. By other people. Whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
Ram it up their ears, says your adrenaline gland. Violently express yourself.
Fuck yeah. I think this is only because we used the Superstar Cop dialogue options before, right? This goes well with the theory I'm developing that I'm a down on my luck superstar person.
Who is mistakenly identified as a cop for his prominent jawline? Yes, sounds likely. You should probably go on stage and pose for a moment when you're done with this thought. See if it works.
What should I think when it comes to it?
You have not yet stumbled on the right lamentation, but it's out there. It'll come to you. You will wreak havoc with it. Don't worry.
Lamentation sounds good. They'll really get a gauge on my soul with that.
Serves them right.
Yeah.
Wipe that smirk off their face with your sad, tragic song. Who's laughing now? No one. You have to find something tragic to sing first, though.
Sing karaoke. Ah. Some nose are fed. This is a water cooler. A large bubble is rising to the surface. The menu has been wiped clean. Only the word Monday is written on it. The door is bolted. A sign reads, "Kitchen reserved for personnel until 1300 hours." Who is this asshole? Let's talk to him.
A man in his late 20s stands behind the counter, inspecting a stuffed seabird. As you approach, he gives you a sideways glance, then looks down again. That was disdain in his eyes. Even now he is purposely ignoring you. Looks like he's not a fan.
So Garte is an interesting figure here. He's obviously one of the people who treats us with quite a bit of disdain, and since we can't remember anything in the beginning, we're like, why is he so unfriendly? He must be a pretty unlikable guy or something, right? I mean, obviously we can make some assumptions from our room that he isn't too happy about what we did in there, but still. I mean, I feel like the first response to Garte is like, to think of him as someone who's like pretty unfriendly, bit snobbish and stuff like that, when in reality, his reaction to us is like completely understandable. And imagine being like a manager of a cafeteria or a hostel or something, and there's a cop living in it, conducting an investigation, and he regularly like thrashes the room, drinks all the booze, doesn't pay, threatens the guests, but you can't really do anything about it because he's a cop. What are you gonna do? Complain to the police? So you have this like seething resentment, and you can kind of, show that to him to some degree, but you can't throw him out. So, poor Garte. I sense you're not a fan of mine.
Oh no, you're a hero. A real hero cop.
And other than, like, it feels like we're being managed, right? All of the characters in this game are kind of managing our shenanigans and our craziness and our abusiveness. And as we've seen, Klaasje, very charismatic, she knows how to like laugh it off and act like it's not a big deal, tease us a little bit, and then just vanish. And his way of handling it is obviously being sarcastic. Because he can't just like come out and say directly, "Yo, asshole, you're out on the street if you don't behave." So I'm not only a cop, I'm also a hero.
Yes, you are. A real decorated hero.
What I do?
What did you not do? First you took the body down, then you solved the murder, then you didn't trash my hostel room. Maybe you even negotiated the strike.
Oh my god, I did all those things.
No, you see, actually, you didn't. You haven't done anything even remotely useful since you got here.
What have I been doing then? Have you seen me around?
No, I haven't seen you around. I'm not always here. Oh no, you're a hero.
You're being sarcastic.
Or did you ride in, take the body down, solve the murder, and not trash my hostel room?
I definitely wanted to say 3 here, that's why I went back. I do not appreciate your tone. This is no way to talk to an officer.
Oh, it's not?
He raises his shoulders like he's about to say something more, but then gets hold of himself.
You're right. It's not.
And he's like, okay, I have to swallow my pride here.
He has no respect for you personally.
Right.
But this man sees himself as a law-abiding citizen, and you a representative of that law. He tries to avoid outright conflict.
Look at this stuffed bird.
A competent work of taxidermy. The white and brown seabird lies among piles of coasters and drying mugs. One of its wings broken. The man is trying to mend it. Looks like the bird was ripped off the shield that was used to mount it, most likely on a wall. Something about it makes you feel bitter.
What happened to the bird?
Look, your buddy is over there.
He looks at the doors, where a man in a bomber jacket is tapping his foot on the door.
Why don't you go and talk to him, okay?
Again with that insubordinate tone.
He pretends not to hear you, concentrating on the bird instead.
Are you the bartender?
No, I'm not the bartender. I'm the cafeteria manager.
You look like a bartender.
That period of my life is over. Not everyone who stands behind a counter is a bartender, okay? I'm the cafeteria manager.
What's the difference?
I have 3 cafeterias to manage. 3. Sylvie tends the bar here, not me. I'm only standing in.
Where did this Sylvie go?
She just, you know.
There's something there, and it's not good. That's all you know for now.
Right, leave. Who's this fool? Bottle of rum has been knocked over. Beautiful, dark liquid is spilling out. A man is sleeping at the table wearing mud-caked boots and rolled-down overalls. The back of this shirt reads Wild Pines, encircled by a logo with a tree.
On the counter, rolled out of his open hand, you see a blister pack of headache medicine. The man does not mind. You probably need them more than he does.
Also, let me have a look at my clothes. Some of them give less physical instrument? No, they don't. Okay. Okay.
The worker is perhaps he's on his way to where you just came from, into the primordial darkness.
Maybe.
There is only one way to wake
There.
this bone idol from his slumber. Roar like a hurricane. Rip the buildings from the earth.
I don't think I ever succeeded this before. Wake up! This is an order! I am the law!
Why the yelling man?
This 30-something man slowly lifts his head and gives you a pensive look. Just wanted to see what would happen if I yelled.
Congratulations. You've seen the future. Now, if you excuse me again, officer.
The worker sinks back onto the table, ready to continue his nap.
Officer, even after a rude awakening, this dock worker respects the police more than they usually do, at least.
Yours?
Indeed. Help yourself to some. Wait. No. Oh, it's empty. Sorry about that, pal.
You Canadian? Tell me about Wild Pines.
That's the name of my employer. I work in logistics.
He doesn't sound too enthusiastic about this.
That's wonderful.
Logistics? Nope. It's a nightmare.
He lets his head fall back on the table. See anything interesting in your dreams?
Thank God, no.
Was it a fathomless darkness into which we ought to be deferred like corpses to a mausoleum?
The worker stares at you, his eyes dry from sleep. A web of wrinkles covers his tanned forehead.
I don't know what you're talking about, kind sir. But when I'm out, then I'm really out. No corpses, no mausoleums, just quality time.
A little me time in the abyssal pelagic zone. You can never return to it now. Only detective work remains. Wakefulness and detection. Fuck sleep. Despite the headache and the queasiness, you feel like you've got at least a 10-kilometer run in you. The dock worker doesn't answer. His head is already back down on the table, in sweet sleep.
5 XP. Hey there.
Hello, sweetie. You shouldn't keep your colleague waiting.
Alright. The sign reads, Mess Hall reserved for Union members. Doors open 1600 hours. This royal pinball machine is unplugged. Right, before we talk to Kim here, let's take a break and I'll see you back in the next episode. Bye bye.